Welcome back to our course. We're currently on day 7 of getting your newsletter business set up so it is profitable. This is a free course. This is everything we have been through so far, including telling you what the case study is that we are going to be using in this series. Our last day we talked about writing your newsletter. There's 2 videos here on our channel that you can go away and watch. You can click on the card above, get yourself over to day 6 to watch all of that video, or go down into the description and click straight over to these 2 videos to see how we use AI to actually write your newsletter. But now we know that we're using AI, we want to have a talk about what we actually write. Now, I'm not talking about your particular niche because we covered that in the first couple of days. I'm talking about the style of newsletter you're going to write. This is going to be a really quick overview because we are going to go into these in a little bit more detail. But your main 2 options are curated and in-depth. With a curated newsletter, what you're doing is you're taking information from out there in the big world, in your niche, on the internet, and you're putting it into your newsletter. So for example, if your newsletter was for a local area, so let's say that you've got a newsletter that's focusing on New York, or maybe a suburb within New York, you might put into your newsletter news articles and events that relate to that particular area that are coming up in that particular week, or news that's happened on that particular day. You would be able to take articles from 2 or 3 different sources and put them together into your newsletter. So people each morning are getting a highlight reel of what they need to know about that particular area. If you're somebody who's looking at putting together offers, so maybe you want your newsletter to be around about gaming or in a particular niche within gaming, then you might do a curated newsletter that focuses on a particular area. So it might be game releases, maybe you're focusing on a particular console, maybe you want to focus on more the equipment so you can get affiliate sales, but you're collecting information and putting it into a newsletter so people don't have to go out and find that information for themselves. You've given it to them. So these are the kind of newsletters that have sort of taglines of things like get the information you need in 3 minutes a day or 5 minutes a day. Later on in this video series, I'm going to show you exactly the AI tools that we use in order to collect that information, so we're not actually going out and spending time finding these things. AI is going to do it for us. And the second one is an in-depth newsletter, and this is more similar to the ones that you would have seen the AI write, because they do involve a lot of writing and research, but as you saw in the previous video on day 6, that you can actually get AI to write this for you. Now, the nice thing about this is you can set yourself up as an expert. If you're going down the road of sponsorship or promotions, and we talked about that in a previous video as well, about how to monetize your newsletter, then this is a great way of showcasing that product or service and getting the max amount of money out of the business that wants to be featured, because you are going into a huge amount of detail about them. So they're going to want to be showcased in the right way, and you can do that with an in-depth newsletter, but it's going to take you more time. So if you go for that model, then you're probably not going to want to send it out every day. The curated, you could send it out 2-3 times a week because you're just pulling sources together and putting into a newsletter. The in-depth, you're going to want to use AI to write it, and then you're going to want to add in the links, maybe change it up a bit. So you're probably going to send that less frequently, maybe once a week. However, it's really important to know that you can mix this up. So for example, if you were doing an industry newsletter, then you might want to go for something that curates information during the week, and then you might want to go for a more in-depth deep dive later on. So for example, we have a newsletter, an AI newsletter, and that's exactly the model that we go for. So we have newsletter editions during the week that will give you a curation of the best tools out there, the best money-making ideas, and then you get once a week you can get access to the deep dive, which will go into a little more detail, maybe about a tool, maybe about a money-making idea. So you can mix this and blend it for what works for you in terms of time, what's going to make you the most money, and what your audience actually likes as well. By the way, if you want to get our newsletter, check out the description. You can sign up to that. It's completely free, and it comes full coupons, promotions, so you can use in order to save money. So they're your options. So before you even write a single word, definitely go away and play around with the AI tool so you know how well it works for your niche. It's up there in the, as I said, in day 6, and the links are down in the description. But you really want to make sure that you've got a schedule that you can stick to, and you've got the type of newsletter that you can write and that's going to be valuable to your audience. Mixing it up between curated or in-depth, or just start with one and then see how you do. There's no right or wrong. You've got to experiment. You've got to see what your audience is actually enjoying, see what's actually getting the signups, and then go from there. So hopefully this video was useful. On the screen now, you can see the links back to that video I've mentioned a couple of times now, where you can find out more about the AI tool we use. And stick around for the rest of this series, because as I said, we'll be going into more detail about how you can use AI to produce a curated newsletter. See you in the next one.